Hi besties, welcome back to my channel. I have read 30 books so far this year, so let's talk about them. Okay, we're going to do these in the exact order that I've read them. I don't own most of them because I read a lot of them on my Kindle, even though my goal for the year was to read stuff from my physical TBR that I haven't read yet, but I've made some progress. So let's get started. First, super depressing read of the year, Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I definitely cried. Do recommend, but also it was a little boring. I just like the way that Rebecca writes, so it was kind of enjoyable for me, but 4 stars overall. Next, I wanted to finally see the hype for this series, and it didn't live up to it for me. I did kind of enjoy it, but Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I read the first book. I gave it a 3 stars overall. I definitely see the comparison, but that's a story for another time. Anyways, 3 stars overall. Next, another book that's been on my physical TBR for a while that I'm really glad that I finally got to was A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. I gave this a 5-star overall. This was so fun, so atmospheric, so dark gothic academia, and I loved her writing style, so I will be continuing to read more Ava Reid books. Next, one of the things that I'm really into this year is thrillers, but only in audiobook form, so I listened to Never Lie by Frida McFadden. I gave this a 3.5 stars overall. I think it was okay, but I think if I remember correctly, I predicted the ending very quickly, and it was fast-paced enough to keep me entertained, but I knew what was coming, so that's why it wasn't like a much higher rating for me. The baby's dropping in to say hi. Say hi, Socks. You must see birds on the TV. Okay, I put you down. Next, I read this on my Kindle, Haunting Adeline by H.T. Carlton. I was never going to read this, I'm not going to lie, but there was some posts I saw on social media. I was like, I'll just give it a shot. I didn't hate it. I gave it a 3 stars overall. It was actually quite enjoyable, and I did like what the male main character's job was. I like that he was kind of like hero-esque, and I will probably end up reading Hunting Adeline, but we'll see. I don't know. I haven't gotten around to it yet, so we'll see. So I gave Haunting Adeline 3 stars overall. Next, another audiobook. I listened to The Locked Door by Frida McFadden. I gave this one a 2.5 stars overall. It wasn't the most enjoyable for me, but I didn't hate it. I think this was another one where I predicted the ending really early on, and for that, it wasn't fast-paced enough to keep my attention like Never Lie was. Some of her books are really hit or miss for me, so this one wasn't my favorite, but 2.5 overall. Not terrible. Any Frida book is kind of just like, it's like junk food for the soul. Then during this little time frame was when I was filming my Reading Like a Middle Schooler vlog, which I actually had a lot of fun doing and I want to do again. So the first book I read during that was The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, 5-star classic. If you haven't read this yet, you're truly missing out. I don't know what's wrong with you. Go read the book. If you haven't seen the movie, I also recommend the movie. But overall, 5-star classic book. Then I read The K by Theodore Taylor, another 5 stars, such good messages. I go into an in-depth review of all of these books in that other video, so if you want to check it out, feel free, but 5 stars. And then the one that kind of disappointed me the most in that reading vlog was The Westing Game by Ellen Raskin. I didn't hate it, I just think it was more directed at teens, and I don't know, I couldn't stay into it the entire time, and I read it on my Kindle rather than physical, so I could rush through it at bedtime, and it just didn't keep my attention, so I ended up giving this one a 3.5 overall. Next, I discovered a new favorite thriller author, Alice Feeney. I listened to My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney on audiobook. So good, chef's kiss. It was like an atmospheric audiobook. You felt really into it. You've got like the sound of the sea in the background and like added like, I don't know, background noise. It just made it more fun. I felt like you were almost watching a movie while you listened to it. 5 stars. This book was so fun for me to listen to, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Then I wanted to toss in a little romance. I haven't read a lot of romance this year, so I read Wild Side by Elsie Silver. This one was fun. I think the like wrestling side was like kind of quirky because you don't really get many wrestling romances, so it was enjoyable and fun. I gave this one a 4.5 overall. I don't remember what I didn't like about it, but I also don't remember much about it besides like the whole, she took in her sister's daughter when her sister passed away, and yeah, all of that kind of stuff. So it was decent. It just wasn't anything like super standout-ish to me. Next, I wanted my sister to do a book club with me, and I say we lightly, failed miserably. I finished the book. She knew what the ending was going to be, so she didn't really care, but we didn't really keep up with it. So yeah, anyways, it was A Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I thoroughly enjoyed this. It actually kept my attention for like a good chunk of the book, and I was kind of surprised because it wasn't like my usual book style. I love Greek mythology, but I've never like really reached out and read any of that stuff, and this was very, very, very enjoyable. I gave it a 4.5 overall. I think towards the middle I kind of got bored, and so it took me a little longer, but like the beginning and the end really had me, and I think it just was too long for my attention span. I'm not gonna lie, I'm just being completely honest. It was very enjoyable. She's a very talented author, but it's a little too long for my attention span, so 4.5. Next, like everyone else on the planet, I've owned this book for a while, but I haven't read it until this year. That is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. 6 stars. I will be thinking about this book forever. I already want to see the movie again, and I just watched it. Well, I watched it the day it came out. They were filming this the end of April, so good, so fun, so heartwarming, and also there was so much comedic relief. I think it made it so much more enjoyable because of that. I will probably end up rereading this book at some point in my life, but I will definitely be rewatching the movie on a regular basis. Then, continuing with Powerless, I read Reckless. This one I think was my favorite of the 3. I haven't read the novellas yet, so I don't own them, so I'm not sure when I'll get to them, but this was my favorite. It felt the least similar to Red Queen, but this was my favorite. I gave it a 4-star overall, and I wish this was the way the rest of the series felt, if that makes sense. And because I just wanted to get over with, holy cow, I didn't realize how thick this book was. I read it on my Kindle. I read Fearless. This one was also quite enjoyable. This one just felt like so long for no reason. I gave it a 3.5 overall. I want to see how many pages it is, because this is, oh, it's only like 600 pages. This book just looks huge for being 600 pages. Anyways, 3.5 overall. I don't think the series really stood out that much to me. It was definitely an enjoyable read. I've seen people say that if you like fantasy, read Red Queen. If you like romantasy, read the Powerless series, and I think I definitely agree with that statement. Okay, next read I have been waiting to get around to. I'm such a big Lucy Score girl. It was Story of My Life by Lucy Score. I feel like everyone online hated this one, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. I gave this a 4.5 overall, and I'm actually right now reading the next one in this little universe. I think it's called Mistakes Were Made. I think it was so fun, but I do love a good like construction themed romance. For some reason you'll find that as a theme in my life, and yeah, this was enjoyable to me. Then, like everyone else in the world, I don't know, romance book talk, I read In Her Own League by Liz Tomforty. So fun. I think this one, I really enjoyed the dynamic between Monty and Reese, and I really liked the older romance. They weren't like in their 20s. It felt very mature, and like they knew what they wanted. There was no questioning, no waiting around, no, you know, miscommunication and stuff. It was definitely very much like more straightforward, I'd say, for a romance. It was, I quite enjoyed it. It was very fun. Very spicy. If you know Liz Tomforty, you know. And this was enjoyable. I love a good baseball romance now, so what can I say? I'm a baseball girl. And I actually just went this past Friday to the White Sox Liz Tomforty event and got the White Sox special edition. Let me grab that and show you. So my boyfriend and I went to the game together, and they gave us, you had to buy the special tickets. I think everyone on the internet is confused. You didn't just get the book for going to the game. You had to buy the Liz Tomforty Windy City Night book voucher, and then you'd go redeem it for your book. So because my boyfriend and I both went, we bought 2 tickets at the same time, so we'd have the same seats, and we got 2 copies. So it's got like all this White Sox and Chicago themed stuff on it. It's so cute, the little hot dog, and they all came signed. I did not expect that. I thought we were just getting a special edition. I thought the people who were going to the VIP event were getting signed copies, but both of my copies are signed. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the second one yet. I might gift it to a friend, but these are very special, and there were not very many of them, so I'm actually like quite excited to have this. Okay, we have to lower the camera because I've been sitting on my knees this entire time, and it really is like, maybe I'm getting old. Anyways. After In Her Own League, I gave Just Friends by Haley Pham a chance. I did the audiobook version, but I really wanted to see if everyone on the internet was being like overly critical and harsh because she's a YouTuber and her husband's famous, or if they're just being really honest. I'm gonna go with the latter because it wasn't the most enjoyable. I gave it a 2 stars overall. I didn't hate it, but I just don't think it was for me. However, I can see why people hated it. I think she needs a lot more practice. I think there's a full in-depth review on my TikTok where I kind of talk about this for like literally 7 minutes, but I think it could have been better. So 2 stars overall. Then we did another thriller audiobook, Keep It in the Family by John Mars. This one was actually recommended to me by a mutual on my TikTok. I did not like it. I feel like I could have liked it, but I feel like he kind of like lost me somewhere in the middle, and I was like, I just feel like he just keeps throwing random things in here and like attempting to just really throw off the reader, but he ended up picking the same path regardless. So I was a little shocked, but not as shocked as I feel like I could have been. I feel like he gave away too much too quickly and then kind of like backtracked. It was just really like off kiltering. I don't know. I gave it a 2. I gave it a 2.5 overall, so it wasn't terrible, but I just did not enjoy it that much. Never mind, we're back at this angle because I did not like the other angle. Anyways, after Keep It in the Family, I started a book series that I had been very against reading for a while, and I'm very glad I finally gave it a chance. That is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I gave this a 5 star. I'm about to start the 3rd book because I had to wait. I was buying them, but I'm waiting for it to become available on Libby so I can read it on my Kindle at bedtime, so I'm not sitting up with a light. 5 stars, so good. I annotated so much in here. I didn't tab it though, so like it's hard to find, but I have never felt so motivated to make note of so many things in a book before. I think Pierce Brown has an incredible literary voice. I think he is such a good author. He is so incredibly talented, and for this being a debut novel, like I'm like shook. Like I feel like most fantasy writers wish they could be this talented. Not to say others aren't, but I just think this is so well written. I will say my boyfriend's point of view was that he has a very pompous voice. Like it sounds like he like thinks he's better than everyone in his writing, and I can see that if you're not used to reading fantasy, but I think this was so good. Then before I started book 2 in the Red Rising series, my boyfriend wanted me to read The Martian by Andy Weir, so I'd watch the movie with him. This was enjoyable, not as enjoyable as Project Hail Mary for me. I gave this a 4 star overall, but it was still quite fun, and I noticed again Andy Weir's very good at writing like little bits of comedic relief, and this one was just as good as Project Hail Mary as inserting that. It was like a different scenario, but still quite enjoyable. However, in the movie, it lost all of it. There was no like hardly any comedic relief in the movie versus the book, and I think it made the movie less enjoyable for me, but I really did enjoy the book. Just after that was when I filmed my April TBR video, and I wanted to pick up another book to read, so I started Gothicana by Rue Nix. This has been sitting on my shelves for like 2 years now. I didn't know when I was ever gonna get to it, so I guess now was when. I didn't hate this. It actually pleasantly surprised me. It was very much dark academia, like forbidden romance kind of thing, but not like super like over the top cringy in my opinion. I gave it a 3.5 overall. It was enjoyable. I don't know if I'll grab the next one, Enigma I believe it's called. I don't know if they're like part of the same world or if it's just like, you know, her vibe. This was fun. I didn't hate it. It wasn't like world ending, like crazy, like mind-blowing kind of work, but enjoyable. Then I listened to Brave New World by Aldous Huxley on audiobook. I had actually been listening to that since like the beginning of March, and I just finished it in April. It took forever to get my attention, and it was actually like, it wasn't confusing, it just felt really all over the place, and I genuinely think that was his point, but it made it less enjoyable audiobook form. I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more reading it because I kept finding myself getting like distracted and missing like a good chunk of what had happened in the book because I would listen while I was like doing chores and stuff. So I think if I read the physical book, it would have been more enjoyable. However, I gave the audiobook a 3 star overall. 3 star overall. It was still quite good. You can tell it's a classic, and he definitely has had a very in-depth, detailed view of what he thought the future would look like, and I don't think he was entirely wrong, but that's a story for another time. Anyways, Brave New World, Aldous Huxley, 3 stars overall. Then I read Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. I'm scared to start Morning Star because of the way this one ended. If you know, you know. 5 stars. I don't have much to say. Maybe I'll do like an in-depth review of the entire series when I'm done. But yeah, 5 stars. Then another book on my April TBR jar pick was Perks of Being a Wallflower. I have actually never seen the movie, never read the book until this month. So good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was actually really, really surprised. I didn't think I would. You know, sometimes like these books from like the early 2010s you feel like are super overrated, the ones that were like really trendy back then. This one was actually really good. I gave it a 4.5 overall. I do want to watch the movie soon, but I really liked the book. Then another thriller audiobook, I did Best Offer Wins by Marissa Cashino. I think is how you say her name, Cashino. I gave it a 3.5 overall. It was very good. I did predict the ending again. I feel like it's so common nowadays for these like really trendy thrillers to be very predictable, and I kind of like am getting like burnt out on that. It makes me not want to listen to any more thrillers, but I still really enjoyed this one. The female main character is like actually like insane, so I was like, girl, you're crazy, the entire books. So it was fun. 3.5. Then the last book from my April TBR video that I got to was Strawberry Patch Pancake House Palette Cleanser Romance. I actually didn't hate this one. It's probably my second most favorite of this series so far. Christmas Tree Farm just like was my favorite overall. This one was fun. I thought it was kind of cute. The whole like he comes into the life of his daughter that he didn't know existed because her mom passed away, hires a nanny, he's working at the diner, he's taking pancake orders. It's definitely very much Gilmore Girl-esque, which I think is the whole point of the Dream Harbor series, and it was quite enjoyable. I gave this a 3-star overall. Then the last book for this video, I did the audiobook for Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney, 3 stars overall. I feel like it kind of lost me at some points. I was like, what is the point of this? I don't know what's going on. Like, and then the synopsis I read on the audiobook did not make sense to the audiobook after I listened to it. I don't know. I was really confused. It was very fun. I feel like Alice Feeney has a very good writing style, and her thrillers are very much what they get you from the beginning, and then you get back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and so it just really keeps you going. So I didn't hate it, but 3 stars overall. And that is the 30 books I've read so far this year. I probably won't wait this long to do another in-depth reading review. I wanted to do an even number, and then 25 just didn't make sense to me, so I waited until 30. So that's everything I've read so far this year. If you've read any of these books, drop your thoughts down below. Comment any recommendations based on the ones I enjoyed, or if you have any comments or questions or anything, put them in the comments. Thanks for watching.